Patty. Oh dear. Good afternoon, good afternoon. I'm excited to play with you guys today. I'm going to scoot this camera over a little bit here. Hi Carol, hi Patty. Let's see, I'm trying to get where my light is a little bit better today. Hopefully we can get in frame here. That looks okay. Maybe I could be a little bit further up, huh? There we go. It's a beautiful sunny day here. It's still cold, but no new snow, so that's nice. I went and had coffee with a friend today, and I hadn't done that for a long time, so it was wonderful to see her. And now I get to craft with you guys. So I'm pretty excited about that. Hi, Cindy. Oh, thank you, Patty. Yeah. Hi, Mary. So I had asked you guys for some ideas, and you gave me lots. More than I could probably ever do in a video, but lots of fun ideas going forward, which is great. One thing that was on there was the layering of cards, and that's something that I absolutely really love to do. I really struggle with clean and simple or one layer cards. I love them, but when I do them, it feels to me like I haven't finished them. So it's such a weird brain shift for me. I guess that just means that's not my natural style, even though I absolutely love it. This is the card we're going to make today, and I chose this fun set, the Royal Family set, and then I used a sentiment from the Royal Sentiments because I found this paper in my stash and I was so excited. I was like, oh my gosh, I have got to use this paper. It's so perfect for these stamps and that stamp set. And this is an Echo Park paper pad. I don't even know how old it is. It might still be in stock somewhere. I'm not sure, probably. But I love Echo Park papers. And this one's called Once Upon a Time, and the patterns that are in here are so perfect for the stamp set. You've got your little royal carriages, which goes great with the horse and carriage in the stamp set. I don't know if you can see that or not. And then you've got your dresses for the princesses and the queen. You've got a pretty purple. You've got this sentiment of royal ball. Hi, Carla. Some books, which I thought was absolutely perfect for once in a while, in the middle of an ordinary life, love gives us a fairy tale, which is one of the sentiments from the Royal Family Sentiments, or the Royal Sentiments, I guess. But anyway, so this is the paper pad that I grabbed and decided to go with this pattern here that has the castles and a solid pattern, and then I'm using the Rocky Road stencil with the new aqua. Oh gosh, all of a sudden I can't think of the name. Is it Aqua Adventure? I hate that when my brain goes blank. But the new aqua ink, let's go with that. So we're going to do that, and then I'm also using the purple pansy and the purple petunia is what I used for the sentiments. I colored a piece of seam binding ribbon, so I'll do that with you guys, and then we'll just walk through making the card. And then also you guys had requested coloring up the sweet little Lulu, who is our freebie this month with a $65 order. And for Kimmie's birthday month, it's a $65 order total, but not counting shipping. This is the card that I had made with her. And again, you can see I've got lots of different elements of layers on my card. So if we have time, we'll color her up too, because a couple of you had requested coloring her up. And if you haven't gotten her yet, grab her. She is so stinking cute. I'll show you, if you don't already have her, kind of the size of her compared to my hand, which is, you know, she's pretty good size when you look at the size of like the princesses. Here's the queen, there's the princess and the king. So she's good size, but she's definitely mini still compared to some of the other ones. So Alrighty, folks. Well, let's get going. It's a Sunday afternoon, and lots of people are, I hope, out playing or enjoying family. But if you're here with me, I'm super thankful. I'm happy you're here to color with me. Thank you, Carla. Aqua Adventure. I was not too far off. My 50-ish brain is, sometimes it just blips. Not a lot of fun, but that's what happens. Hey, hey, Sabrina. All right, so let's get going. And I thought what I would do first is color up the ribbon. And the reason I'm doing that first is because it does take a bit of time to dry. And I wasn't smart enough. I still have not mixed up my sprays using my Kraftin Kimmie inks to make a spray like Crafty Girl Carrie Parrish does all the time, which I absolutely love. So since I didn't do that, my ribbon is going to take the ink a little stronger than usual, and it might take a little bit more time to dry. So I'm going to use the Purple Petunia and the Aqua Adventure on it. I'm going to sit down here so I can get going on this. So I'm starting out with the Aqua Adventure, and I'm just coloring it on there with the sponge dauber. When I did it on mine, I actually just went ink pad straight to the ribbon, which was great, except for it really saturated it, and it really took a long time to dry. I ended up drying it with my heat gun, which was okay. I just live and learn. And it also turned out darker than I wanted it to, going direct ink pad to ribbon. I don't know if you can see that, but this color here is really similar to this one. Of course, it's only one layer, but still. It does seem to give you a different effect whether you spray it, whether you go directly on it, whether you sponge it on like I'm doing. And this is going to take just a little bit of time, but we'll just work with it here. I'm doing the other side too, in case I turn it around and get it wonky. And so you can see as I'm layering it, it's getting a little darker. And then I'm going to grab, that's kind of the end. I'll grab some Purple Petunia for a bit here. And I was going to tell you guys, I don't know if you ever experienced this, but like when you're using your ink pads to sponge or to use the brush, they slide around when you're trying to use them. Yesterday I was getting tired of chasing my ink pad around, so I grabbed my embossing, silicone embossing pad and stuck it on my desk and then put my pad on it, and it doesn't go anywhere. It stays right there when you're using it. In fact, I'm just going to move it over here maybe. Well, then it's in the way with my hand. So, but it's awesome. Hi, Anna. Yeah, so it's great for keeping your ink pads, from moving around. So this is my purple pansy. And I'm in the habit of having to hold it, but seriously, look at this. I don't have to move it. Oh, I'm not even on camera. Okay, let's try that again. So this is my embossing pad. Just the silicone little piece of embossing pad. I've stuck my ink pad on there and I'm moving my sponge across it and it's not going anywhere, which is awesome because it drives me crazy, especially if you have little minis to have to try to hold them, then let go somewhere else. I usually end up with ink on my fingers. So I discovered this last night. I thought maybe it would be something that you guys might like to know too. Share, share, share. Okay, so back to the ribbon. Sorry, a little bit disjointed here today. So this is just like a very vanilla seam binding ribbon. I don't use a lot of ribbons on my projects. Typically, I was cleaning out again, I don't really make New Year's resolutions, but I did decide this year that I was going to try to use more of my stash or I was going to get rid of it. Because I always get these ideas or I love what I see other people do and then it doesn't really work for me. I find that driving bows drive me crazy. I'm not good at it. So ribbon feels fussy sometimes, but I did like using it on this card and I do like coloring it. So I'll use some of it and we'll see how it goes. That's kind of my crafty goal this year, is to use a little bit more of what I have and maybe not buy so much that I don't use. You have one of the clever embossing pads. That's awesome. Okay, so a little bit more, and this is way more than I needed, but like I said, I'm a little challenged with tying ribbons, so I decided to cut it a little bit bigger than I needed, so I had room in case I messed it up 2 or 3 times and had to keep cutting off the end of it. flipping it over, giving it a good brush on the other side. And then I'm just gonna let it sit and dry while we do some more on the card. And you know, again, depending on how intense you want the color, you can see that this side, maybe you can see, is already starting to dry a little bit and it's lighter. So it's gonna be kind of fun. And then we'll switch gears back over to the purple, finish it off real quick. I'm not gonna go all the way to the end because I don't wanna get my fingers completely inky while I'm doing this. Blending it down. Flipping it over. The purple really takes to the ribbon quickly, the saturated color. I really like this color combination a lot. Okay, so that's it for the purple at the moment. Like I said, I'm going to set that aside. I'm just going to put it over on my table here for a little bit, and then we're going to work on the other parts of the card. So the this strip here is 1 inch wide. And I'm going to stencil with the Rocky Road stencil on it. Thank you, Carla. And then I'm going to edge with the Aqua Adventure, and then I'm going to edge around it with the purple pansy. So we'll just do that really quick. Oh shoot, you know what I forgot to grab was my tape or something to hold my stencil down. But since I'm just using a little strip, hopefully it'll be okay. I'm just gonna go with it. Normally I just ordered some pixie spray. I keep watching people using it and I haven't had any, so I'm gonna give it a shot. But normally I would tape this down and hold it. I'm just gonna hope that it doesn't move around, and sometimes I use my, what do I wanna say, my magnetic board is terrific for that too, but thank you, Sabrina. Okay, so I'm grabbing the aqua ink. Like I said, I haven't taped this down, so I'm just going to hold on to one side and work my way through it. I don't want it to be super dark, and sponging is hard. I do have a brush, but I didn't grab it. So I just want it to be kind of light because I do want that sentiment to show through. So I'm just ever so lightly touching on there. And if one side's a little darker than the other, I'll just kind of flip it around so that the one I stamp on is the one that's the lightest. That's one side. I'm just going to move my hand over, and I'm just going to ever so lightly. And I am going to do a little darker at the very edge because I do want it to have a little bit of a variation in it. I love this stencil. It's very versatile. So I've left the middle-ish part lighter, and you can see what that looks like. Oh, thank you, Lindsay. Oh, really? I'm so glad to hear that about the pixie spray. I've always been kind of scared, I guess. Maybe that's a strong word, but to use it because I am afraid, like, sometimes I have breathing issues and I'm afraid I'll inhale it while I'm spraying it. But I watch everybody using it, and it looks so quick and easy, and I'm really, I mean, if I could survive Aquanet in the 80s, I think I can survive pixie spray with my stencils, right? Okay, so that was the Rocky Road stencil. Now I'm going to take this same little strip of paper, which again is 1 inch wide, and I'm going to just ever so lightly add some of this purple pansy ink around the edge. I just want it to have a little bit of a variation. So I'm just, and it's actually going on there darker this time than it did with my brush. That's okay. We're just going to play around a little bit. One of the tricks of layering, I think, if you're not using a lot of cardstock, and I tend to use a lot of cardstock, but another trick is if you don't have a lot of cardstock, colors, options, etc., edging the pieces of your parts, I guess, of your card gives it an illusion of extra depth and layering too. So that's a fun little tip. And I'm just going to kind of really, really lightly try to get a little of the purple inward on this strip just by using the lightest feathering touch, working from the outside, actually off the paper, onto it a little bit. There we go, and that's working. There we go. That's what I really wanted, was a little bit more of a subtle look. Should have done that first, I guess. Oh well, that's why they call it live. And honestly, even when you have a card prepared ahead of time, you do it again and you change something, or something isn't the same, and I think that's actually kind of the fun part of it. I like it to be similar, but if it suddenly goes way different, then oh well, you have a new original creation. So can you see that pretty well? Can you see how it's dark around the edges, I've just barely feathered in a little of the purple. Aquanet in the bathroom, no kidding. I'm surprised any of us can breathe. And it's a good thing Gorilla Glue wasn't around then, right? Haha, although I'm pretty sure none of us would have used Gorilla Glue to get our bangs way up high. Okay, so that's our little Rocky Road stencil strip. I'm going to set it aside. And then how about if we color our image? And I've pre-stamped mine just to save time, because I was hoping that we'd have a little extra time to do, talk through the layering and then maybe color Lulu too. So I've pre-stamped this darling little prince proposing to his princess. And then I also did that same technique with the brushes. So I've got the Aqua Adventure that I've sponged on the bottom, and then I've just brought in a little bit of the purple around the edges to give it just a little bit more of a variation. So I'm just gonna flick that in a little bit more just to get it in there. Oh, we probably would have. We were pretty desperate about how high our bangs were and our hair, that's for sure. And then the big perms, oh my gosh. Really, now that my hair is so stick straight, I'm tempted to get a perm, but I just don't think I can do it. Okay, so here we are. We're gonna color these darling little things. And I have chosen I found some markers that were really close to this paper, and just by playing around. So that's what I'm doing there. On this particular card, I ended up having to fussy cut these out and then put them on the card because my purple was new and I got a giant blob. And I actually managed to save it. I don't know how, but I did have to cut around it. So hopefully we're not going to get any blobs on it this time. I always start with my skin color. And since these guys are pretty tiny, I just use the 3 markers in the E50 series rather than the 5 markers in the do not do it, no kidding. In the do not get a perm. E53 I'm using instead of the E04, E11, E21, which is generally my great skin tone combo. We need a hair intervention. We might. Bringing back the crimper? No, absolutely not, Lindsay. I burn my fingers all the time on that dumb thing trying to get my hair in it. Okay, so let's get coloring. It's fun to talk about the old days, right? As we get older. So I'm starting with my E53, and these little folks are teeny, so they don't need a lot. This is my darkest color, and it's not super dark, so I'm just coming around the bottom part of her face, and she's more shaded, although I don't pay a tremendous amount of attention to where light source is in general, because it's just not something that I pay a lot of attention to. But generally, under bangs, where the face is looking down, that's where we will have our shading. So I'm just doing the lightest of a line around her face in the E53. And I'm holding my marker kind of at an angle. I'm not going straight up and down because I'll get a fatter line. I just want a very little line. And then I'm going to grab my E51, which is my next color, and I'm going to just go over that, just right over it. And I'm still kind of holding it at an angle, but I want a bit more of a line, right? So I'm going to just pull it in a bit more, going over it, pulling it in a little bit more. Under her bangs here, I'm not going to go completely over it. I'm just going to kind of touch it a little on the edge because I do want it to stay a little darker, but not drastically darker, right under her hair. And then around her ear. So you'll see I did pull in. I don't really know where my light source is. I'm kind of guessing that it's coming this direction more or less. Which is not how I colored it, I guess. So maybe it's coming in this way, and she's shaded because she's facing him. We're going to pretend our light source is coming this way. So that was E51. Then I'm going to grab my E50, and this is a new marker, so I'm going to pull both ends off so that I don't get a giant skin blob. And I'm just going to fill it in. So 3 colors because their little faces aren't very big, and their arms, and etc. And I'm just going to do that all the parts separate because the images are smaller, and then I can just get a little bit better of a blend if I do it by the sections I want quicker. And I'm going to let that sit for a bit, and if I want it to be a little bit drier, or sorry, a little bit more saturated in color, I'll go over it again. So that was E50. I do have an R20 for her cheekies. So I'm just gonna ever so gently dot, 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 dot. Same over here, dot, 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 dot. I don't want it to be too round. And then I'm just gonna grab my E50 again and blend over it. Just pull it out a little bit. I want the pink to show, but I don't want it to be real heavy. And she's looking a little pale to me, so I think I'm going to do a second coat real quick, which is easy when you have smaller images. So this is my E53, and I'm just going to come back in again. Ooh, wow, see there I got a really thick line, but that's okay. And under her chin just a little. I'm not completely repeating everything. I'm just touching it up, really. And then this is E51. Pulling it in, coming around those little cheeks that we created. Pulling the color in a little bit more so she's not quite so pale. Hi, Kim! And there we go. And then I've just left a space kind of in the middle. And you can see her cheeks are just very, very subtle, which is what I wanted. She should be blushing a little bit more, but maybe she's not quite so surprised to get the proposal. Okay, so there's our little darling's face. I'm going to use my R20 to, oh, you got the in-laws called, yep. It's in my family, it's always my parents, and it's usually my dad needing help with his computer and my mom needing help with the television remote. Okay, so that's her face. Let's do her, whoa, let's do her little arms. And I'm just going to kind of do this rather quickly since I did spend a bit of time on the face. So again, just kind of where I think it would be darkest. So under her sleeve, around the inside of her arm, with the E53, and maybe just kind of down where her thumb is. Everything's an emergency, absolutely. Oh, hi, Jill. I'm glad you popped in. You haven't missed much at all. Had an interruption to your day. Well, shoot. I know how that goes sometimes, for sure. Okay, this is my E51. I'm going to pull more of that in. I'm not going to leave a lot of area on her arms for the E50 because it's the lightest, and it's really light. So I'm just pulling in more of the E51, and I'm just leaving a little bit in there for me to put the E50 as a final swoop in there. Okay, and let's grab that guy and just smooth it out. All right. And then I'll just, while we have our skin tones out, I'm going to go ahead and, oh, thanks, Kim. I do too. The TV emergency was last week. I'm telling you, like, it is an absolute emergency at my mama's house when the television goes out. All right, so here's our prince, and we're going to do the same thing with him. Just kind of following lightly, marker at an angle, going around his face. And that was E53, 51. I'm going to sound like a broken record. I apologize. We'll just bring in some more. Again, not completely going over it, but very close. Bring it in further. These are the sweetest little images. I was so excited. My sister actually has an anniversary coming up next month, and I think this will be a perfect card for them. Okay. All right, and then I'll fill this in. This is the E50. Work on his hands, and I'll come back and do one more layer on the face after it sets for a sec. Okay, so here's his little tiny hand. My E53, I just filled it, I don't know, a week or so ago, and it seems to want to, I might have overfilled it a little bit. All right, then 51, and again, because their hands are so small, I don't leave much area for the E50, just a little bit at the end, and really just to smooth the color out. Thank you, Kim. I wish my hands looked as pretty as my nails, but I haven't put any lotion on the last couple of days. I don't like the feel of it when I'm crafting. I feel like having lotion on my hands makes my hands kind of slippery when I'm coloring. But all right, so one more coat on his little face. Gotta go grab lunch. Great, Lindsay. Yeah, you can pop back in anytime. That's the great thing about the replays. I miss a lot of ours, unfortunately, because of work, so I'm happy when I can come home in the evening and sit down and watch the replay. So there's his hair. Let's see, I need to... a little bit more. Arms looks kind of pale, so I'm just going to put another little coat of 51 in there. And 50. Okay, 50. Smoothing it all out. Okay, so then hair is next, and for the prints I have an E27 E35 combo. Let's see. I wonder if I can get this to work. I'm gonna try it. I don't know how you guys get it to zoom in, because once I go live, it doesn't zoom no matter how I try to pinch it. Ah, I got it. Oh my goodness, I've been going the wrong way. Okay. Let's see. Oh, I'm so excited. I finally figured it out. Got to be smarter than the camera, right? Okay, let's see. I'll move this over here. That's a little better. Okay, so hair. So 27 and 35. E27, E35 for the hair. And the trick will now be to not just focus on my hand, right? Yay, that's better, isn't it? Thank you. Yeah, so excited. I finally figured that out. I'm like, it's got to be easier than I think. So I am just, with my E27, I'm just hitting the tips of his hair. And this piece here is hair. And I'm going under his crown, up and around his crown. Just trying to kind of follow, you know, where he's got some hair going on. And he's got his hair there, and I'm just using the lightest of a touch, right? There's no exact science, but because there's not a lot of area there, I'm just carefully on the very edge of my marker putting in some color. Oops, it kind of went a little crazy there, but that's okay. And then that piece there, I think I had colored it as hair before, but I think it's part of his headdress, I guess. What do you call that? Shawl? Headdress? It's not a shawl. All right, so there's the E27. And then we're going to add the E35. And no exact science, I'm not flicking, I'm just filling it in. Just pulling my colors together so that there's still a little variation on the outer edge, but just kind of creating a good smooth for the most part. I'm not being real careful because it's hair and it's got texture. Okay, there we go. And then for the lovely princess's hair, I attempted kind of a black color. Black hair is really hard for me to color. I keep trying to find the right combo. This is what it turned out with when I was messing around with it. And so my combo here is an N6, a BV25, I'm going to use 23 today, and then a BV000. His messy, spiky hair. Yeah, I love him, Sabrina. You did such a great job. Oh, the two pieces above the shoulder are hair. Oh, great. Okay, let's color it in his hair then. I thought it was like, you know, those almost like a veil, but I couldn't figure out why he would have a veil. So here we go. We're going to go back up here real quick. I'm going to fill in his long, beautiful hair. I actually like that he has longer hair. It's awesome. Well, that's good. Okay, and that's hair too, so we're going to color that in real quick. Awesome. And then we'll put in the E35. Okay. Hi, Marianne. Black hair is hard, real hard. But you know what? I just keep trying. And with today's awesome color schemes, you know, anything goes. So if it ends up more purple than black, that's okay. I actually really admire the different colored hair on people. I don't feel like I can get away with it, but I love it. Okay, so I'm gonna quit messing with his hair. We're gonna start on her hair. And you thought it was part of his jacket like the fawns. That's what, you know, at first I thought that too, Carla, but then I'm like, but where's his collar? Like, that doesn't make sense either. So it's just so funny. So, I mean, we can interpret it all kinds of different ways, right? So this is the BV000, and I am just giving it a color wash. I'm doing it all over first because I don't want to have to worry about not leaving enough space. I can always go over it. So, yep, I'm just coloring in this BV000. Oh, I kind of really just like her with purple hair. She looks really cute. I wonder if I should just do purple. Let's see. I really like that purple hair. I wonder if maybe I should just do that. Let's see, that was a BV00. Let's see what happens when we pull in a little of the BV23 next. Oops, wrong end. All right, so this one is BV23. Kind of using the Fantastic Artist guidelines for the hair to pull it in. Sometimes when you're really concentrating on your coloring, do you ever feel like you're holding your breath? I think I do that sometimes. All right, let's see. Okay, so that's kind of a light purple-ish. There we go. Okay, so I like that, but it also isn't quite the right purple, and I didn't bring in, we all interpret images differently, that's for sure. I didn't bring in any other, I have the purple for his outfit, but I think that might be just a little too much because these are kind of gray purple. So now this is my N06, and I'm just going to dab in some spots here. Just kind of accentuate it. I want to give it the feel of dark hair, I guess, without it being hopefully too overwhelmed. We're just going to try it and see what happens. Let's see, I kind of messed that up. I can see it already, but that's all right. We'll just come back through. Feathering ever so lightly around the tips, just a little up. I am just, I mean, at the very, very lightest of pressure, filling in just some areas. Hardly touching my marker to the paper. Oh, I just realized why I'm having such a hard time seeing. I don't have my reading glasses on. Like, I can't tell how close I am to the lines there. Okay. It doesn't look messed up. Oh, that's good. All right, let me grab my glasses here. Quit making things harder on myself. All right, then I'm gonna go back to the BV23 one more time, and I'm just gonna blend a little bit more. So I've got that black in there. It's kind of the appearance of black. I'm just gonna touch over it. Again, I'm just being real light in pressure. All right, what do you think? Think it looks okay? I think I'll leave it. I think if I keep messing with it, I'm gonna end up with a black blob. Thank you, Sabrina. Yeah, it's more of like I mean, it's almost more of a gray than a black. So I think if I wanted the purple to show through a little bit more, I'd pick, instead of the triple BV, I would pick like maybe one of the next steps up, maybe even like a BV02 or something, just to get a little bit more in there, but still have the black shine through. So I like it. I think it looks okay. I'm gonna stick with it. Thanks, Jill. So then next I'll color her little dress, and the color combo that I have for that is a R81, an R000, and an R20. I also grabbed an R11 just to see. The R11 is just a little, if you can see, what do I want to say, maybe orangey. And I think I'm going to try the 20 this time. I did the R11. We'll see what it looks like. This is the R11, and it matches pretty close with the highlights in the castles. I was trying to pick up all my colors from the paper. That helps me when I'm coloring. So I'm going to start with the R81, which is called a rose pink. Well, thank you for the hearts. And I'm just going to come in and fill in some of the areas that would naturally be the darker areas. Fill in her pleats a little bit. Oh, Sabrina, I just really love this little set. It's just so cute. Love it, love it, love it. Okay, this is just layer 1. And I'll see if I want it. I don't want it to be too dark. I'll see if I want to add anything to it after I pick the next color. So the next color would be, like, I'm going to try this R20 and we'll see if that's too much of a transition or if it works okay. We're just messing. Ooh, that's pretty bold. Yikes, I'm not sure I like that. All right, well, because I put a little in there, I'm going to just finish it, but then I'm going to grab my R11 and I'm just picking some spots because I'm not wanting to be married to this color combo. So I'm just kind of picking some spots here and there and then I'm going to grab my R11 and where did I put it? There it is. Okay, and then I'm going to go, whoops, and then I'm going to go back over where I was, and that just, oh, that's okay, that pulls it out a little bit. Okay. It's funny, I should rely more on my swatches, but honestly I don't know where I put my Copic chart, and I've been meaning to make the time to, oh shoot, what did I do? I picked up some of that black, darn it. I've been meaning to make the time to make myself a new one, and it just doesn't seem to happen. Okay, yeah, I like that R11 better. And then, yeah, the lid cover is so deceiving. I agree. Then I'm going to take this R000 and just give it a wash over the whole thing. But hey, you know, it's worth a try, right? And if you're watching, it helps you see it too. And today, for some odd reason, I did not grab my colorless blender, which is weird. I see I have sort of something funky going on with the skin over here, so I'm just going to smooth that out a little bit. Looks like I probably got some of the black in there. Darn it. Poop. Boop, boop, boop. Let's see, we'll fix this one here. Smooth it out. Sometimes the super light colors work a little bit like that. Okay, so one more little quick around the edges with my R81. Really just kind of around the bottom more than the edges, but yeah, edges I guess is a good way to put it. Okay, so her dress is done, and then let's do, so her little shoe, I just did, like, you know, kind of glass slipper, and you can't see it in my sample very well, but I used a silver glitter pen over it at the end. So I'm just touching this with C1, and literally just touching it, just so that it has a little more of a base other than white, so that when I put the silver over it, it'll look okay. Hi, Pat! All right, so that's her little shoe. Now we can do her crown, and for her crown, I used a Y26. Thank you, Pat. And so and then what I did with their crowns also is I used this Y26, and then I went over the top of it with gold, what the heck do you call these things? Where is it? This thing, this Winkastella, and it's in the gold color, glitter gold. I do that at the end. So there's her little crown. We might as well do his while we have the color out. So we'll just come in and do his real quick. Okay. And then for the gems in their crown, I used a YG06. And I was gonna put a dot of stickles on there, but I think I forgot on my card because I have this kind of greeny colored stickles that I thought would be fun to just use a toothpick and spread it on there. Okay, so next step would be his outfit. And for his outfit, I used a series of the V markers that worked well. I have a V12, a V15, 17, and 25. Oh, before I do that, this part of his outfit I did in the Y26 as well. So we'll do that first and get that swooped in there. And then I also did the little tiny ring in the Y26. Really, really tiny. And there we go. Okay, then we will color his outfit. I don't know, he probably doesn't like it being called an outfit. What do guys call their clothes? Women call them outfits. So for the shirt, I started with the the V15, and this is the one that blobbed on me all over the place. So I'm taking both lids off in hopes that it's not going to blob on me today. And I'm just going to come in, and this is my darker color of the two. Ooh, it wants to blob. And it must be juicy. I am, forever I had been a color on Stampin' Up! Paper, but I think they changed the formula because it no longer works really great for me with Copic coloring. So I'm testing out Nina Solar White, and it's different for me. You know, when you're used to a different feel, flow, etc., I like it. It's just a very different, it's just taking me a bit to get used to it. In the sense of how I find that I have to blend a little quicker. His suit. Thank you, Sabrina. I knew outfit was not the right word. Good gracious. Okay, so, but yeah, I find that I have to do smaller areas a little quicker for the blending on this paper than I did before. It blends well, it's just that you can't, it seems like to me, I can't let it sit in between as much as I could with the other. So this is the Y12, or YV, good Lord. And I did have coffee today, I promise. I forgot my colorless blender, so I'm not going to stress too much about that little space right there where I went over. Okay, I'm going to let that sit for a sec, and then I'm going to work on his pants. So his pants, I did a little darker, so I started with kind of a shadow layer, if you will, of the V25. And it's not really the right color, as you can see, but it's just a shadow. That's all I'm using it for, is a shadow. So that when my next color goes on, it just stays a little, you know, darker, if you will. So just around the edges, just where I feel like there's a shadow. And then I grab, I don't know, I'm getting used to it. It's okay. I also bought a couple other types to try, paper that is, Sabrina, and we'll see. Right now I feel like I need to give it a shot more than just a time or two, but so far it isn't my favorite. So this is a V17, but what I was using just absolutely is not the same. Everything smears, it just doesn't work like it used to, and I'm so disappointed because I really loved that. I used it for like 6 years. Okay, so this again is a V17, and I'm going over more of the area. and over the top of my shadow area. And then I'm going to come in with the V15. If I can find it. There it is. Okay, so this is the V15, and then I'm just pulling in over, I'm just going over everything. I don't want a white space necessarily, but I do want it to be a little lighter. Okay, and so while I've got my V15 out, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to come back in again on the top part of his suit, now that I am using the right words, and just again fill in my areas. Give it one more little brush here. Oh, it wants to blob. Okay, and then I'm going to grab my V12 one more time and fill that in. Blend it in. These V12 and 15 are new to me. I didn't have them before. I just got them. I like them. Copic colors are hard to find and get for sure. Okay, and then we have his shoes, and for his shoes I used a C5 and a C3. And let's do that first. So this is the C5. I don't know, I'm not liking what's happening with his skin up here. It's like the color sits into the paper a little differently. I don't know quite how to describe that. Somebody might be getting a bunch of paper from me. Okay, so that was C5. Okay, Pat, sounds great, thank you. And then this is a C3. It's funny with the leg and computers, by the time we're saying thanks, see ya, they're probably already logged off. So this is a C3, and I'm just kind of trying to blend the two together, but my C3 must be dry because it's not doing much. We'll let that sit for a second, then maybe add the C5 again. Oh yeah, it's pretty dry. Okay, and then I'm going to go back over and touch his face up real quick because that's really bugging me. That funky blending line there, so we'll just go grab that real quick, pull it in. There we go. And then the E50. Whoops. Nope, you're still getting your shoes on. Okay. Oh, that's funny. They are a fabulous looking couple, Sabrina. You did such a good job on them. I love them so much. Okay, so there's our lovely couple. I'm just going to put my C5 back in here again real quick. It's just kind of not filling in very well for me right now, so we'll just touch it up a bit more. There we go. All right, and so I've already pre-shaded around the edges, and the reason I chose the green on the bottom is because when I layered them over this strip, I wanted it to kind of mesh with that a little bit. So now we're gonna go ahead and put our card together, and I'm using the, what month are we in? February. I'm using the February sketch. That's the design for my card. And I'm going to put the Wink Stella on at the end, just so that I don't stick my finger in it and mess it up. So we're going to start by building layers, and I'm going to wait to stamp until I make sure, well actually let me do that now because I know I need it over toward the end of the strip. So we'll go ahead and do that. And oops, I got to go grab it. I'm so sorry. Hang on a sec, folks. Hold please, I'll be right back. I got to grab that stamp. No barking. No barking. Okay, got my stamp. Sorry about that. So we'll go ahead. This is the purple petunia, which is a little bit darker than the purple pansy that I used for the edging on things. And hopefully I've got it good, and I should have grabbed my Misty too to make sure I don't do it in the wrong, you know, so I get a good stamp, but we'll try it here. So I know I want it pretty far over on the edge. So I'm just gonna go ahead and aha, ta-da. Okay, we got that, good deal. Now we'll start putting our card together. Our ribbon is drying. We'll move our markers out of the way. Okay, so for the pieces and parts of my card, the lovely thing about layering too is if you use paper packs or stencils, and it's fun to layer stencils too with different patterns. When you're using a paper pack, the great thing is your colors are all coordinating. So really, it's easy to pick things that, and now it looks like I could zoom out a little bit. Let's see if I can do this, if I can remember how I did it. Nope, that's in. Oh dear. Let's see here. There we go. Yay, I'm so proud of myself. Okay. So let's see here. You can't stamp sentiments that way. Yeah, I was a little nervous, Sabrina, trust me. I wasn't sure how that was going to work. Okay, so, but as I was saying, you know, you just don't want to but maybe you do if that's your style. I went with like solid and pattern rather than real busy pattern, real busy pattern. So this is more of a solid, if you will, because the pattern is small. If I were to use this pattern, let's say, on the other side of that with the castle, it's still lovely, but look how it's just kind of busy. So you'd need something to kind of break that up and get it together. Yeah, I needed a 13-year-old to show me, Carla. So what I'm doing here is this panel here is my base panel on my card. So it is 4 inches by 5 1/4, and then I have the backing, the cardstock backing piece, which is just 1/8 of an inch bigger than that all the way around, because I just wanted a little teeny tiny border. Just enough to create a separation, but not enough to pull the eye completely away from the pattern on the pattern paper. And so then again, to give it a little more interest, I am just going to take my sponge and I'm just going to pull in some color around the edges. And this is that purple pansy again. And I'm just starting on the edge, and I'm just then allowing myself to pull in a little bit more after I get started. I want it to show up, but I don't want it to be super drastic. Like, I want you to see your eye to kind of pick up on the purple. Let's see here. There we go. Just a little bit, just a hint. I kind of like it. I think I'll be good with that. And then while I got my ink out, I'm just going to go ahead and ink my other piece. And so this panel here is 3 1/2 by 5. That's my layer that goes on top of my first layer. And same idea with the backing paper behind it is just 1/8 of an inch all the way around it, so that it's just barely sets it off. And again, and I picked, like, I could have picked maybe this color, I could have picked a purple. I tried purple, I didn't really find what I liked, but the this darker purple looked kind of cool. So I just kind of picked one of the accent colors to pull that out a little bit. I didn't want to completely overwhelm it. No science, I'm not an expert, but that's my thought process. If it helps you to share, I thought I would tell you, but it's definitely not, I'm not an expert by any means. It's just what I like, what feels good. Kind of that, so if it's one of the smaller colors in your pattern, then it's kind of that complementary color, if you will, rather than the dominant color. And so it, that's how it works. You know, you can, that's why you can pull it all together and get it to work and see some of that division without it being overwhelming. Like, oh my gosh, what the heck is that? Just rotating, inking just a little, just a little. And I can tell, so on my first card I used my brushes, and it is definitely a more subtle layering of color for sure than with my sponges. All right, and I'm just going over it again just to give it a little bit more purple. Okay, so there's that one. I've done the strip, I've done this, I've got my people, I'm just looking at my pieces. Oh, okay, and so then I also added a tag just for fun. And this time I'm gonna try the crown. Is that right? I guess so. I didn't think I picked the crown, but we're gonna use the crown on this card instead of the polka dots. I probably grabbed the wrong one, but see how it's gonna work because it's the right colors, it's got everything else in there. This piece is gonna get cut off. So before I ink this, I want to shape this like a tag. I don't have a tag die cut, so I kind of make my own. And I cheat a little. I finally got one that I liked. The top, where I got it to be pretty even, and now I just can't figure out where I laid it. There it is. And so I kept this as a template. I made this little template for myself. It's not exact by any means, but it's pretty close. So I like this side. When I cut it by hand, I got this side just like I like it, and I got this one too deep. So what I did is I kept this as my template. I lay it, oh, and then I didn't bring my scissors. Hold on, I'm gonna go get my scissors. Sorry, folks. Oh, goodness gracious. Sorry about that, you guys. Okay, so so I just am putting it on. This is about the same width. I tried to go really close to that. I'm just sitting it on top of my scrap paper. And because I know that I'm going to need to clear that hole, I'm going to have to be careful about that. I might have to go a little bit shorter. All right, so I'm just kind of eyeballing where it is, and then I'm just going to use my template. One of these days I'm going to buy myself a tag die, but I don't make a ton of tags, so yeah, I'm getting my steps in. I just have to be careful I don't walk too fast when I go across the house, because the dogs think somebody's here and they start going bananas. So I've cut that one off, and like I said, I like this side better than the deeper side, so I just take my template and I roll it over. So no exact science, you guys, not whatsoever. I'm just kind of showing you what I do. And then I'm going to go ahead and trim that off. And I'm going to have to go lower, it looks like, because my hole is still there. That's all right. We'll just do it right about there. Okay, so then I'm going to trim that off. There we go. Mostly got it. And now I'm uneven. Of course, that's okay. So I'm just going to use that same side over here. At the end of the day, when I tie the bow on there, it's not going to matter. But you know what? It's real. It's live. This is how my process is sometimes. A little bit messy. Yeah, a little bit messy. Okay, so it's very uneven. Doggone it. So much for that idea today, folks. Okay, so I'm going to level it out. I'm going to snip the top off a little bit. And then I'm going to go put a tag die in my order. Check for the next time. Okay, so that's going to be my die piece, my tag piece, and then I'm going to put the purple on around the edges of that, just like I did everything else. I still have plenty of it left on my sponge, so I'm just, didn't even bother to pull it across the ink this time. I'm just going for it. I like how this purple looks around the edge of these papers. It's kind of cool. I always think of purple as being sort of a royal color too, for some reason. Okay, so there's the base of my tag. And then I'm gonna wanna tie my bow on there. So I created a little, another little template that doesn't quite fit, but it's gonna be close, where I can punch with my crocodile a couple of holes that are about the right distance apart to weave my bow through. So I'm going to do that real quick. Is that the right one? Nope, this one. This thing, lifting this thing is kind of like lifting weights. It's like, holy moly. It's a heavy little tool. Ouch, I'm going to get my finger in there. Okay, so there's my holes for my ribbon. Okay. Alrighty. And then we're gonna just start putting everything together. Okay, so we've got our base piece. I'm gonna put the 2 layers of that together before I put it on my cardstock. I did remember to bring glue, so that's a good thing. And I'm just eyeballing it. I just want to get it real close. Put it down. Grab my next layer. Put it together. I always think I have more time than I do. I can't believe that we've been on already as long as we have. So we won't probably be able to color Lulu. I'm sorry. But we'll get this card put together. So those are those 2 layers. So I've got my base, the layer that's going to go on top of it. Let's get our tag together here. And this one I've pre-cut, so I'm going to put it on there first, and then I will trim it down. Eyeballing it. Okay, there's that. Looks like we got a punch again. But now we have a nice little template to know where it goes, so we'll get it in there. Here we go. Our ribbon should be dry, so we'll go ahead and get our ribbon on there. And I started it from the back. Thank you, Janet. I just think that the very tiniest bit of the, the backing makes such a huge difference on the card personally. But I'm a layer girl. I like the layers, so. Okay, so I'm going from the back first with my seam binding ribbon, and I really like the way the color of this time turned out compared. This was pretty too, but this was direct ink pad on the ribbon, just like literally holding it down, and this, it's just ever so slightly different, but I like it. It's closer to that aqua color in the paper too. This is my new favorite ink color, by the way, but I've had several favorites over the years, for sure. They change from time to time, but this is my new favorite. Okay, so Now you get the awesome and probably unfortunate pleasure of watching me figure out how to tie a bow, because I'm not good at bows at all. Not a bit, not a bit, not a bit. I really don't enjoy trying bows. Oh, well, we're pretty darn close. The bad thing about seam binding ribbon is if you mess with it too much, you fray it like crazy. That's not too bad. I think I'm going to go with that. And then trim it off. Oh, I really like how those colors turned out. We may end up needing to trim it a little bit more after we put our next layer on there, but we'll see what we need to do. Okay, so let's put it together, shall we? Okay, so I've pre-cut a strip, again, that's just a tiny bit bigger than my inch strip for my sentiment. I'm going to go ahead and glue that on there. I'm just getting all our pieces and parts together here. You find it easier tying upside down? Yeah, you know, I think that's how I ended up doing it last night when I was doing the one I did, Carla. I tried it sideways, I've tried it upside down, I've tried it every which way. I've even tried one of those little bow maker things, and I don't know what it is, but bows are my nemesis. If I can do just a real messy looking thing, then that's better. But yeah, upside down, I do agree with you. In fact, I probably should have done that, because then it seems to lay a little better. But the good gods were with me today and helped me tie a decent bow, so thank goodness for that. All right, so here's my base, and I've pre-scored it, and I didn't bring my scoring tool, so I'm just going to use my bottle of glue. You make work what you got, right? Okay. And so I have my pretty base. I'm going to start putting my layers on there. Come on, glue. There we go. Carla, I bought some of that Nuvo glue. I haven't tried it yet. I just got it. I'm anxious to try it though and see how it works. So there's our first layer. So I'm not leaving a huge border. It's just sort of a trick for the eye. It's just layer, but it's subtle and it's there, and it just adds some depth without, you know, I like when there are times when I like it to be real drastic layers too, but when I want my paper to show through more than the layers, that's when I do the real subtle pieces. When I have a pattern that I don't want to cover up too much of, and that happens to me a lot. I get pattern paper anxiety because I love the pattern so much. I don't want to cover up too much of it, and I struggle with what do I cover and what do I leave open. This looks beautiful. Thank you, Carla. All right, so there's my second one. And now I'm going to, I had pre-hole punched this little, not hole punched, but punched this little border piece that I'm going to stick behind here, just for another little piece of interest, if you will, I guess. So I'm going to go ahead and put some glue on that. And stick it on there. I'm going to trim off the pieces that are overhanging. I just want the border on the bottom, but just to get it on there for now, I'm going to let that set for a second, then I'm going to trim off that border piece. I do have a piece of backing that goes behind, so you're getting the theme. I'm literally layering everything. I'm building, 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 building. Actually, Sabrina, it's not all that heavy. It's just a really nice weight card, actually. It'll hold up nicely in the mail, too. It's not, it will still make it through the mail slot, the dreaded mail slot. Well, maybe with the ribbon it wouldn't, but before the ribbon it would have made it through. My cards are kind of heavy though, generally, because I do put so many layers on them. Yeah, I know, Marion. I have a huge paper stash that I just absolutely love, and I don't use it because I pull it out and I'm like going to put it on a card, and then I only see like a fourth of it, and I get all stressed out about, well, do I want to see this much of the castle, or do I want to see this much of the castle, or do I want to see all the castles? So I struggle with that so bad, so bad. You've been lazy on your layering. Always do at least 2 colors of cardstock on all layers. Yep, I love layering. It's my favorite technique, if you want to call it a technique. I think it's a technique. Let's see here. And then I'm just trimming off these edges because I don't want them peeking out. I just really wanted a border on the bottom of this piece this time. So just leveling that off, getting that out of the way. Then I'm going to go ahead and put that on my card. And I'm going to come down toward the bottom. I do need to kind of pay attention to where my tag will be. So let's do that first. I want it to kind of hang over a little bit. And before I glue it down, oh, you think it's hard to layer, Janet? Oh gosh, I don't know. Yeah, I guess it's just funny. It's what our natural style is, really, right? So I'm going to need to trim that bow down a little bit. That's fine. I figured I might. Okay, so I do want my tag to be kind of right out there on the outside, so we'll get that down next. And honestly, like I said, Janet, I don't know if you were on earlier, but and most of my layers right now, before I say that, are not thick enough that I've had to use any foam or dimension yet. But when I do put my final 2 layers on there, I'll need to, otherwise I get kind of a funny bump in the paper. But right now I'm doing okay. Like, I don't have such thick layers, and it's not built up so high that we have to worry about any kind of a, you know, foam dots, whatever, because this piece here is mostly laying on this piece, but when we get to the strip and then my final piece, we will need to use a little bit of glue dots or dimensions. But what I was also saying, Janet, is that if you're not using a lot of cardstock for layering, you can simulate layering by edging the pieces of your paper with ink, because then it makes it look more like a layer, and it gives it that dimension without additional weight, without additional bulk, I guess, but you get sort of the idea of it, which is what I like. So, all right, that bow is driving me crazy, but I'm going to let it be. It's not terrible. I struggle with bows. Okay, now that's that piece, and then these little fellas are going to go on top of that. But before I put them on there, you can't cover the paper. I know it. I hate to cover the paper too most of the time. That's why if they coordinate and I can still see it, I'm happy. But all right, so these guys, I know I need to come down toward the bottom of the card, and they're going to need to come over a bit so that my sentiment shows. And that looks pretty good. That's probably about right. So I'll go ahead and put that down where it's at. This one here is just a little bit off. So I could glue it, and most people may not notice it, no big deal, but I'm going to put glue dots on the back side of this because they're just a little bit thicker. I'm going to glue this part, and then I'm going to put some glue dots on that part, just so that there's not as much of a transition between the pieces now that my layers have gotten up there. So first I'll do my glue dots so I know where they are. And I know that I need to go like to about where my sentiment is, right about there. Then I'm just going to put a second row real quick of them. I'm not focusing on this bottom strip so much because it just kind of hangs out there anyway and gets covered up. So, and then I'm going to glue this down. My glue decides to come out. There we go. Because that's mostly laying on there. However, a little tiny bit of this does hang out off the edge, And so I'm just gonna try to figure out how to pick it up without getting glue all over myself, and put a glue dot on the very end of this piece here, so that and I'm just folding it over. Okay, you have a ton of paper. Yep, that's me. I have so much paper, it's ridiculous, and I'm loving stencils so much too, but I just told myself again, I'm gotta use more of my crafty stuff, and that includes my papers, so that's what I'm doing. And actually sometimes papers help me decide mostly papers help me decide how to color an image, because I can pick up on the colors in the paper that I want to see, and then also it gives me ideas for designs sometimes too. So there's that. I don't know, you probably are not going to be able to see that on camera very well, but I'll try and hold it up so you can look. But see, it's not super thick, but you've got a lot of layers in there. You got a lot of interest going on, and actually the little crowns look okay. So then I'm going to put our couple on there, and they are going to need to be glue dotted because they are, again, taller. Now they're getting through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 layers, so they're going to need to be a little bit more. And I'm actually going to use foam dots behind this part, and then I'm just going to glue this directly on there and get that on there. So let me grab my foam dots. They're not very thick. I know, Kim is this evil temptress when it comes to those paper pads, my gosh. And I just can't resist, it's ridiculous. I just cannot say no when it comes to pretty papers. So if I want to keep buying those pretty papers, I either need to wallpaper my craft room with them, or I need to start using them on my cards more, in addition to elements of stencils and other things. But I don't know. There was a local craft store, we haven't had it for like 5 years. We don't have one here anymore, but she literally took 12 by 12 basic gray paper and wallpapered the bathroom with her basic gray paper. All different patterns, you know, they were coordinating, of course, in colors, but honestly, it was pretty stinking cool. I loved it. When I'd go to visit, I always had to go check out the bathroom. But if I don't start using my papers, that's what I'm going to have to do, and I'm not exactly sure that would probably work as well. I'm not an interior designer. Come on, glue. There we go. Okay, so I've added the evil temptress. I know she's got a new nickname now, right? Okay. Okay, here we go. So I've put foam dots on there. They're not super thick, and a little bit of glue because the glue is just going to lay right on here, so I don't need it to be any thicker. I'm just going to move my ribbon out of the way a little bit. I'm going to try, before they get down too solid, I want to tip them a little because that's my sketch, right? You've got, there we go. So we've got a panel this way, a panel that way. I think it's actually a little backwards from the sketch if you were to look at the sketch. But and then I added 3 of these are the heavenly dots. I really liked these. So I just put 3 little dots down at the bottom, just for a little extra pop, I guess, if you will, of color. And I don't have my little tweezers, so I'm trying to pick them up with my nails here. And then I used, I think, the smallest one next. Ugh, I really wish I had grabbed my tweezers. Stuck inside my fingernail. There we go. Yeah, these were my very favorite. I'm hoarding them because I know we're not going to have them for much longer, but again, hoarding doesn't bring me as much joy, other than I get to look at them, as using them on something. So, all right, so there we go. That's our sketch. That's our layers. I'm going to turn this to the side. I'm going to wait, kind of pause for a sec to see if the camera picks it up, so you can see how thick this is. Really not, honestly. Let me flip it this way to hold it up a little bit more, maybe. There we go. So it's really, I mean, honestly, and look, I I just really like how it turned out. I'm pretty tickled with it, with the patterns and everything. So here's the one I made before. Here's the one I made this time. I don't know if you can get both of those in there. And again, here's my card with Lulu. Sorry we didn't have time to color her today, but she's super fun to color. She's absolutely adorable, and she is the freebie this month. And if you don't have her, you need her. You need her. She's so cute. And I think the Frugal Fridays are still up. Lots of awesome things. The ink of the month is my favorite brown. It's the Sandy Shores. It's my most versatile brown, I think. I absolutely love it. Oh, I was going to put the Wink Estella on there. I'll do that really quick. And so grab her. Grab that Lulu. Grab some of your favorite sets. And I should have done this before it was around the ribbon, but that's okay. We'll just get it in there. It's so subtle. It's not a real strong shimmer, but just enough. I'll hold it up here in a second, see if you can see it. I think another thing that would be fun with this card that I might try now that I've got it all together is to take maybe some of the Nuvo Dream Drops and kind of just ever so lightly go around the edge of the main panel, or one of these just in the corner to give it a little more subtle shimmer. But I can't see that very well in the camera, but the shimmer is on there and it's really pretty. So thank you everyone for joining me. It's always fun to have time with you to color and make a card, and I hope that I've inspired you to pull out some of your stuff. I hope I've inspired you to color up this adorable little royal family if you have it, and if you don't, grab them while you got them, and get the sentiments to go with them, because they're so perfect for that. And then Lulu, of course, may just jump in your cart too. So have a wonderful rest of your day. I hope you get crafty, and thank you so much again for joining me. And yeah, Carla, it does. It shimmers in real life beautifully. So thank you again. Bye, everybody.